Welcome back to Daybreak Live. Final half hour of the show this morning brought to you by Sarah Automotive. We welcome Dr. Michele Eller, Sylacauga City School Superintendent, to the show this morning. Dr. Eller, good morning and Happy New Year.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
And what a way to kick off the new year with more COVID. My goodness.
Yes. We've kicked it off with a bang.
Yeah, talk a little bit about what went into the decision to forego starting the school back after the holiday break and do the e-learning. What was the process in making that decision?
Well, we've been tracking COVID numbers throughout the break as well as we could within the community. So tracking the numbers at Coosa Valley, tracking the numbers with local physicians, and knowing the history of what occurred last year where school started back up, the flood of the disease went through the buildings, and then it had to close. That was the very last thing I wanted to do this year. I would rather give it time to work its course, give it time for our students and staff who've been exposed and who are quarantined to go through that process so that when we open the doors, we can keep the doors open and keep people safe, which is what we're charged to do. Right,
and the e-learning started this week, and you know, we've been going through this now 2 years. And it is wearing on educators, it is wearing on families, it's wearing on children, and the kids were excited 2 years ago about being out of school. They're not too excited about being out of school now.
Well, and now that, you know, we have really worked very diligently this year to provide resources and training for our teachers on best practices for teaching both in the classroom and remotely. Because, you know, we know that if it's not this, it's going to be something else. And so we want to ensure that our teachers are equipped to teach the right way. And they really didn't have a chance to get that professional development before because no one had experienced this before. And so really these 3 days are almost a test of what we've been preparing to do. Can we do it right? And what I saw yesterday was very good. I was able to observe some of the instruction at Nichols Lawson and at the high school. They are having to log in and do live instructional lessons with the students. And that was really powerful to see. We had about 90-95% participation at both buildings yesterday.
Hey, my grandson is 11. He's in 6th grade at Nichols Lawson, and he's doing the e-learning. And he was logging in last night and showing me some stuff on his Chromebook. And I don't drink, but I'm looking at that and I said, "Well, this is a good time to start." You know, I mean, it's something that for parents is very challenging. The kids seem to be handling it pretty well.
Yeah. Well, we've been preparing the kids, so we've been doing a lot of the blended learning lessons in class. Really preparing them for how to use technology for instruction. Not necessarily just using technology to look up things on Google, but to actually use technology for instructional purposes. And so I think both preparing the students and preparing our teachers, I think we'll see the benefits of it this week, that instruction can continue.
When the decision was made to enter into the e-learning and studying at home and taking classes at home, you wanted to do that in a way that would give the parents and grandparents an opportunity to work their schedules, because it's very difficult to do this.
Yes. I wanted to, I'm a parent myself. I wanted to make sure that we had enough time to prepare. And I called a meeting Sunday afternoon with my administrative staff, both at central office and my principals. And we met for about 2 hours on Zoom and mapped out, here's our numbers, here's what we're looking at, can we do this? And then not only can we provide quality instruction, how are we going to provide meals for our students? How are we going to get the word out to our families in enough time that they can make alternate arrangements? And so all those things were extremely important, because I know that in a lot of our families this was a hardship. I know that. But I didn't want to wait until Monday Tuesday night. I didn't want to open up this week and then turn around on next Sunday and say, by the way, we'll be out another week. So I want to give them enough time to make those arrangements with their students.
Speaking of next week, where do we stand as far as getting back in the classroom? Any idea?
Well, we've been tracking numbers. We are right now at about a dozen of our staff members positive, about 15 students that we know of positive. We're going to look at numbers today and see where we are today. If you would have asked me yesterday morning, I would have told you we probably have to be remote next week because the original guidelines that were given to us from Alabama Department of Public Health talked about 10-day quarantine.
Right.
And if I've got to have students out for 10 days, then that puts a major hardship on learning. But last night with the announcement that they can now do the 5 days of quarantine and 5 days back with a mask on, that's a little bit of a game changer. And so I feel very hopeful if our numbers do not skyrocket today that we will be able to open and do in-person learning next week. However, if we see that our numbers increase, I've got to do what we need to do to keep everybody safe.
Yeah. I noticed in a story yesterday, Dr. Mackey, who's the superintendent of the Alabama schools and public schools, even he is frustrated with the information coming from the CDC because it's ever changing.
Yes. Well, and we were getting mixed messages because our students were going to physicians. The physicians were following the CDC guidelines that said 5-day quarantine, 5-day with mask. They were bringing that back to us, and Alabama Department of Public Health was saying, no, they have to do 10 days of quarantine. And so there were mixed messages even with our students and parents, and I know that caused a lot of frustration. So I was extremely glad to get that guidance late yesterday. To be exact, we have posted a chart on our Facebook page for parents, and that chart clearly tells them kind of the guidance for their students. If they've been exposed, you do this. If you've tested positive, you do this. If you've been exposed and vaccinated, you do this. And so we're hoping that chart will help give a little bit of guidance for our families as well.
Dr. Michele Eller, Superintendent, Sylacauga City Board of Education, our guest this morning for a couple more minutes, and we certainly appreciate her being with us. I know it's a busy time for education. With being in this infectious disease thing for 2 years, we know we're behind. Where do we go from here?
Well, I feel like we've been able to make tremendous gains this school year already, just being the heightened focus on instruction. We have really worked hard on giving extra supports not only for our students but also for our teachers. And so I feel very good about where we are instructional wise, where we are with our level of achievement right now. We're making gains every day, and that's just what we've got to do. We made a lot of gains this past summer with summer school. We had a lot of students that took advantage of summer school, which was very good. And so I don't see us being as behind as maybe some other places.
With remote learning as it is today, it affects a lot of different, with sports and everything else. It just messes things up,
Yes, it does. So our players are having to come in and practice at different times, and of course they're having to wear masks when they're...
Are they not able to play games, are they not? Or...
Well, we couldn't play games Tuesday night and Thursday night because we have some players with COVID.
Okay.
They should be out of quarantine thanks to the new CDC guidelines and ready to play Friday night. So,
what makes you most proud of where we are with the Sylacauga City School system?
Well, I'll have to say that there's several things that I guess give me a lot of pride to be superintendent here. But just, for example, when I had to make that call Sunday, My team didn't hesitate. Our teachers didn't hesitate. Our community embraced the decision. They supported it. They may not have liked it, but they supported it. And you don't find that everywhere. My team scrambled for 2 days to ensure that everything was in place so that we wouldn't miss a beat with instruction, we wouldn't miss a beat with meals, so that communication was clearly given to our families and support was given to them. And that makes me extremely proud to know that we can put the needs of our students first, all of us, and work together to do that.
And the meals themselves, that's a logistic nightmare as well.
Well, I have a phenomenal C&P director. I cannot brag on Ms. Wasserman enough. She does an amazing job both with C&P and with communications. And so she was quick on the draw to ensure that, one, everything was communicated to press, families, and then two, that the meal distribution was organized and taken care of.
Yeah, I guess the word patient sometimes is overused, but this is a good time to continue to use patience because, you know, we're all in the same boat.
Yes. Well, and I had a lot of, you know, I did have some questions such as, you know, what are other school systems doing? What are our neighboring systems are doing? And I had to be real quick to answer, you know, I can't answer for them.
Yeah, it's ours.
This is ours. Yeah. This is our community. And so at the end of the day, I'm responsible for the 2,025 students and the 280 employees. That's who I have to answer for, right here in Sylacauga. And so what's affecting other places may not look like what's affecting here. And so we had to make the decision based on what's best for this community here.
Okay, so before we go this morning, how do people keep track of where we are and the immediate future of in-classroom studies at Sylacauga City School?
We've got everything on our Facebook page. They can follow there for up-to-date information. We've got information on our website. Our schools are communicating using multiple platforms, one of them being School Status. School Status gives the parents either a text or a phone call to let them know where we're at. Also, we've got wonderful news outlets that are always good about displaying the information too, but we try to keep all of our communication where it's easily accessible.
One note before we let you go this morning. Back several weeks ago, an incident took place at a basketball game at the arena here in town. It was quickly handled, but there were some changes made due to that, though.
Yes. And of course, after we did some investigating, it was a TikTok challenge.
Oh, goodness.
Yes. Yes, we did. We, just so that our spectators would feel safe, we put several measures in place, one being the metal detectors going back up, two would be increased security that we've got now at all the games, and three, in the future, games such as that one will be at half capacity. We will not allow that many spectators to be in the building.
And if you go out of the arena, you don't come back in.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you get teams from that are rivals playing basketball, and you get the fans in there, and you get high intensity, and we certainly don't want those things to happen. We're very fortunate.
Yeah.
It wasn't more serious than it actually ended up. Dr. Eller, thank you for coming this morning. Always a pleasure to have you, and we appreciate the job you guys do, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Thank you.
Dr. Michele Eller, Sylacauga City School Superintendent, our guest this morning on Daybreak Live. More after you watch this.